Hi everyone, it's Melissa again. For those of you who didn't see my other video, this is Kodiak. He's 7 months old, so he loves to chew on everything. You'll probably get a kick out of some of the things that he does. He's going to be joining us today, and today we're going to be working on some more drills for a different pose in mind. Today we're going to be working on building up to crow pose. So for those of you who know crow pose, you know it's a pretty common goal for most people who do yoga, and there's a lot of modifications that I can show you guys for this pose, but I challenge you to do these drills to try to build up that mind-body awareness, that core strength, so that you're able to drop those training wheels and do crow the right way. So we're gonna swing those legs around, come into a tabletop position. Knees are hip width, hands are shoulder width, spread out the fingers nice and wide, belly button tucking up towards the spine. So starting with those wrists, all we're gonna do is shift the weight front to back. So shifting it up over those palms as far forward as you can, and shifting, relaxing that weight off. Shifting over, gripping those fingers into the ground. Good, you get the idea. All right, then we're gonna externally rotate by bringing the fingers to the outside of the mat, thumbs to the front, and this time we're gonna shimmy from side to side, shifting the weight between those wrists. Good, pausing back in stillness. This time turning the fingers to the inside, thumbs towards the back of the mat, side to side. All right, back to our regular hand position. Then we're going to turn the fingers all the way around to the outside and then back, to the outside and back. Good. Here, be very gentle. Gently shift the weight forward, shift the weight back. Only going so far so that you feel a nice stretch, no pain. Core is tight, fingers gripping into the mat. Good, and return back to a regular tabletop. Now we're going to flow through some cat and cow. I want you to pay particular attention to cat pose, because that roundness that we get in the back, that strength in the back and the core, is what we're going to need for crow pose. So on your inhale, cow pose, tuck the toes, belly down, chin up, tailbone up, squeeze the shoulder blades together. On your exhale, flip to the tops of the feet, round, tuck in the chin, tuck in the pelvis, press, try to separate those shoulder blades. Inhale, tuck the toes, thread the heart through, squeeze those shoulder blades together. And exhale, round, press the fingertips to the top of the mat. Good. You get the idea here, flowing through some cat and cow. You can even choose to pause at cat. Take a few breaths. Good. And releasing. All right, next one, we are going to come into a yogi squat. So I like to start with my feet more than hip width apart, toes pointing out at a 45-degree angle. Coming into my fold here, bending as deeply as I need to into those knees. And then we're gonna sink on down, hips coming all the way down into this squat. Now maybe just practicing here. If your hips are still up here, just hold it here. Work on opening up those inner thighs, strengthening all of those leg muscles. If you can sink the hips all the way down, we're gonna come here and reach your hands forward as if we were reaching into a crow pose. And then I want you to bring those arms on the insides of those legs. Now we're gonna fight the arms and the legs against each other. At first, press the knees into the arms so they become more narrow. Then fight the knees, open up with those arms into the knees, widen the hips. Couple more times. Pressing through those palms as if you're actually holding, pressing away from something. more time. Good. Now from here, swing those legs on around. Come on down for some core work. All right, first one. It doesn't look like much, but I promise you, you're really gonna fire up that core. We're gonna bring the fingertips grazing near the ears. Don't hold on to the head because then we have a tendency to pull on the head. Just graze the fingertips. Think about lifting through the heart, trying to keep the elbows pressing back behind you so the chest stays open. Squeeze the legs together. We're gonna lift the legs just a hair and then lift the torso, low boat. Trying to hover those shoulder blades. I already feel it. You could probably see my body shaking. Breathing through this. And then resting down. Holding for as long as you can, fluidly breathing, and maybe repeat a couple times. Good. Release on down. Next one, I like to call cannonballs. So we're going to inhale those arms up overhead. Oops, almost dropped my water. Inhale the arms up overhead, and on your exhale, crunch the knees in. Tuck, lift the shoulders. Inhale, lengthen. Hover the feet off the ground if you can. Exhale, tuck. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, tuck. Good. Next one up. So instead of that quicker, faster pace, I want to slow it down a little bit. Now we're going to imagine we're doing crow pose, but against the ceiling. So I want your hands pressing to the ceiling as if you were pushing something away from you. We're going to slowly drive the knees in towards the belly and the chest. Now our aim here is to get the knee in towards the armpit while lifting the head and possibly the shoulders off the mat. So inhaling here and exhale. Inhaling, exhaling. Trying to really get that contraction. Good, excellent. Flipping on over again. All right, next on up, a little bit of arm strength here. So we're going to practice modified chaturangas. To do so, we're going to come into child's pose first. So in the child's pose, have your knees about hip width apart. Push the hips back to the heels. Lengthen through those arms. And rest the forearms and the head on the mat. If the head is lifted, don't worry. We're going to be lifting it in a second. Then we're going to lift on up with the gaze. Keep the forearms on the mat for as long as you can. We're going to start to shift that weight forward, up over the wrists, only so far that you feel like you're not about to face plant into the ground. Then from here, we want to tuck those chicken wings in. So imagine if you saw my last video for the headstands, thinking about tucking the arms in and under, squeeze. So same idea here, squeezing that lat muscle underneath those armpits. Shift the weight over, then lift. Keep the elbows tucked. Modified chaturanga. Push on back. Good. Forearms stay down as long as you can. Then keep the elbows pinned to the sides. Lift, make a little shelf for yourself. You can really tuck those arms under. Push on back. And again. Good. Relax those arms in your child's pose. Take a couple breaths. Wiggle the fingers, roll the wrists. Stop eating your leash. All right, next on up. We're gonna come into plank, more core, but particularly we're focusing on the hip flexor muscles in the front of the legs. So these are the muscles that pull the knee in towards the chest. Focus on that more so than anything else. So, starting in downward facing dog. Lengthen nice and long, bend as deeply as you need to into those knees. Then we're gonna inhale, right leg up. And on your exhale, right knee comes on in. Tuck it in towards the right armpit. Round through the upper back. Good. Inhale, flatten, extend. Exhale, round, press. Inhale, extend. Exhale, hold. Good. Back to downward facing dog. Same thing on the other side. Inhale, up. Exhale, tuck. Inhale, up. Exhale, tuck. One more time. Good. Drop on down. Take a rest. Take a breather. Good. All right. This next one is going to be combining all forces. Our shoulders, our core, hip flexors, all of it. So if you have blocks at home, get those blocks. If you don't, you could use a pile of books, anything that's sturdy enough that you can put your weight onto that are two identical objects. Watch your head, bud. All right. For this next one, we're going to come into a seated position. Legs are extended. Pressing through those heels, lengthen through the crown of the head. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Good. First step in this progression, just, excuse me, holding on to those blocks, pressing, lifting. Lower on down. Digging those heels into the mat, press, lift. Good. Holding any which way onto the blocks that feels most comfortable. You can put the blocks on any height you wish, but the taller you put it, the less stable it's going to be. Good. Next step in this progression, we are going to hold onto those blocks, bend the knees, press those feet into the mat. Good. Same idea here. We're going to push, press, lengthen. Then we're going to sit the hips up, swing back until the legs are straight. Swing up, swing back. Up and back. Good. You can technically do this pose without blocks. It is just very challenging. Pressing through those arms, lift, tuck, lift, tuck. Good. Take a breather, roll out those wrists. Stop eating it. Oh boy, he's all tingled. All right, next on up. We're gonna take a forward fold. So if you need blocks, grab those blocks. Feet are gonna come hip width apart, spread out the toes, softness in the knees, and fold on down. Good. You're either gonna keep your hands on the blocks, maybe bring them the lower way, or maybe reaching to the mat. I like to personally come onto my fingertips. And when you're ready, on your next inhale, lift the right leg up, lengthen nice and long, torso and leg parallel to the ground. Then exhale, crunch knee to nose, round into the spine. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, crunch. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, crunch. Good, other side. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, crunch. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, crunch. One more. Good. Resting in your fold, maybe taking a ragdoll, letting everything hang and relax. Take a couple breaths. Good. Next on up. We're going to try hopping into handstand. Now if you have a wall nearby, You can use that wall for some mental support, but we're not fully coming up into handstand, so it's unlikely you're gonna fall all the way backwards. We're just working on putting that pressure into our arms, pushing away from the ground. So we're gonna start in downward facing dog. Watch your head, Cody. Bend into those knees, hop. Oh boy. See what I mean? All right. Bend into those knees, lengthen, hop. Bend, hop. Bend, hop. Trying to get a little more air time each time. All right, now I'm going to show you the modification for crow pose first, and then drills working your way into the appropriate alignment for crow. So you'll often see people doing crow, starting with the feet wide, knees wide, hands come down, and almost putting the shins or the thighs on the elbows. And then tipping their weight forward into a nice wide crow. So from here, it's great for balance. It's great for getting over that fear of falling forward onto your face. You can even bring a pillow in front of you to get over that fear, but it is not the proper alignment for crow. So our crow pose alignment is just as we were doing on the ground, tucking the knees into the armpit. Now, I will say, when I first started with crow, I had a bunch of bruises all along my triceps. So that is normal. Eventually you will start to build that core strength to be able to lift some of the weight away from the arms so that that doesn't happen. So I will show you guys. We always start in a forward fold, reaching the hands to the ground. If you need to, you can step onto blocks or anything else that you can find in your house. This gives you an extra edge because you can get your hips a lot higher, so you can tip a little bit easier into crow. The knees will be higher towards the armpits, and from here we're going to bend into the elbows, get those knees into the armpits, and then shift the weight onto the arms. Not lifting yet, all we're doing is shifting. Shifting front to back. Maybe once you shift the weight forward, lifting one leg, lifting the other leg. Same thing can apply to being completely on the ground. If you have the flexibility to reach to the ground all the way, bend into those knees, snuggle them into those armpits, shift the weight forward, shift the weight back, shift the weight forward, no, and back. Good. When you shift the weight forward, you can try to lift one leg, then the other. And if you're ready for full crow, maybe place a pillow in front of you. You can shift that weight, tuck the feet and the heels nice and close in towards the butt, and make a little shelf for yourself. Good. From here, if you'd like to go up into crane pose, it's a little bit different, a lot more balance, a lot more wrist mobility. Same build up, coming into crow first. Then squeezing the core, straightening those arms, digging the fingers into the mat. There we go, guys. So get to practicing that. It is a lot of shoulder stability and strength, a lot of core work, hip flexors. So get to it, have some fun. Me and Kodiak say goodbye. Come here, bud. Come here. He's all tangled. Say bye, Kodiak. Have a great day, everyone. Stay healthy, stay happy. You are missed and loved.